All right, peace and friendship treaty. Now, let's get into this document. I need to reference also the George Washington letter to Morocco. I need y'all to understand what this letter was. When I talk to these Moors, the first thing they bring up, oh, the letter to George Washington to the Morocco with the Sultan, and in that he said that this was the Sultan territory. I told y'all, Morocco was only involved in this because they were a crony. They were working with or on the behalf of England. And so now when George Washington comes into the thing as president, now he's got to smooth over stuff with the Sultan of Morocco. And George Washington, you're talking about the number one politician, that was George Washington. So he ran the army beforehand, but you know, that's how he got his popularity. The people knew him as one of the generals or what have you in the army or the military. So when he gets into office, because he was popular, he is a politician and he is kissing the butt of the Sultan like nobody else. He's like, oh, Sultan, you know, we're so sorry, your magnanimous, wonderful, lovely Sultan. We're so sorry that we're so late with this, but we want to tell you thank you. We really do appreciate all you did for us and all the kind things you did for us, because without you, we would not be, and that's why we want to just give you all the glory and the gratitude. Okay, so he's saying all this stuff. Then he goes on, and you got these people in, you know, these Moors that tell me about, oh, how he says this is your territory, when really the only thing they were there, the Moroccans were there to intimidate and beat up on the United States of America. It was never their territory. It was never ceded to them. They just asked for a peace and friendship treaty. The other thing that people don't look at when George Washington's letter to Morocco. All right, the Sultan of Morocco. Here's the deal with that thing. When you read in there paragraph 4, for those of y'all who've read it and you like to point stuff out about, oh, the Sultan, but that doesn't mean that this was territory belonging to Morocco. I still don't have any kind of documentation saying that this territory belonged to Morocco. But again, you show me one document you have, and I'll show you 3 for your one that says that's not the case. All right, because the original people have already spoken that this is their land. And even by, when you're talking about international standards, even if they did try to sell it, they couldn't sell it. It still belonged to the original people of the land. The problem is the original people of the land don't know who they are. And I need y'all original people of the land to understand why you don't want to be calling this Morocco, because the only people who have the right to make any kind of contract concerning this land are the original people of this land. And the problem is, when y'all original people start yapping your mouth, talking about this is Morocco, you are turning over this territory to somebody who you're trying to get away from in the first place. Who does Morocco belong to? Do you have any kind of documentation, first of all, saying that this land is Morocco? You don't, but I got a whole bunch of documentation saying that it's not. And then you got to understand who Morocco is owned by. It's not, it's owned by U.S. corporation. So if you original people who are sleeping, wake up. If you are the ones who are saying these things, they need you to say these things, because when you say these things, then you give this territory back over to people who you're trying to get it away from in the first place. Look on the record at who owns Morocco. And here you go talking about, oh, this is Morocco, and that's what, and I told you, it's not just Albion's lying to you. There are melanated people who are lying to you, because you think everybody who got the same skin color as you is your kinfolk. That's not the truth. Because as I just said, there was a melanated people already here in the land. And then another melanated people who are known as Europeans, the original Europeans, they came over here. So now you got 2 group of melanated folks. Who's who? Well, spiritually, you know who's who when they start claiming a certain thing. There are people who know full well they just do not align with the title Moor or the Moorish movement. They know in their spirit something ain't right about that. I don't know what it is, but it don't feel good to me. And then there's those who like, no, this is right. I like. Well, then now you know who's who on a spiritual level. Spiritually, you're going to go where you belong. A perfect slave. Thank you, perfect slave. Welcome. I love this. A perfect slave says, you have no facts. For all my people who are in the comment section, give this guy some facts. Because I done posted it, see, because perfect slave, the fact that you calling yourself that, if you're not light-skinned, you telling me you don't know who you are. Now, go and look up, since I'm going to start here with you, a perfect slave books. I'm going to start here with you. Look up the term slave, the etymology. Look up the etymology of the term slave. And I want you to tell me what the etymology of that term is, meaning the origin of it. And you will understand that it's derived from Slavic or Slovakian. So I can understand why you're upset, slave books, because you didn't do your homework. You listened to what somebody else regurgitated to you, and now you regurgitating it, and you went and took a title, and you probably got an LLC on the perfect slave books and don't recognize that what you're doing is not in order with what really happened in history because you didn't do your own research. I just told you, look up what slave is. You look it up. And then you come back. And then we can talk some more. Because I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to give you the facts for you to look them up yourself. Slave. All right. Now, I love you. I love you, perfect slave. I want you to be the perfect original people of this land. That's what you need to be. You're a perfect original people of this land. Stop letting people tell you to call yourself a descendant of the slave, because what you're doing is you're giving over title of your land to somebody else. You're saying, oh, I don't have ownership of this. I love people like him because they need to be addressed. This is a teachable moment. He comes in here with this title on his name and is clueless about what he's spouting. Okay, so I'm going to go for it. Now, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, I need y'all to understand something about that document. The problem is that we need to start reading. Let me just rephrase that. As we start reading these documents with more clarity, we're going to recognize what we're looking at. The Peace and Friendship Treaty is not a treaty concerning the land of the Americas. It's concerning the people. So read the treaty. And in the treaty, what you're going to find, remember I told y'all what America means? Somebody put it down in the comment section so slave books can read it. Perfect slave, my treaty is on record. I already talked to my people. These people here understand about how to operate under trust, how to operate in the private. They know. You're new to this game, all right? You're new to this channel. You new to knowledge, I can see, because you call yourself slave books. So we hope you get it together. That's all right. I get it. It's a religion that you brought into when you're dealing with the Moors. I get it. But be willing to learn. All right. So when we get into this thing, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, I need you to go and read it, because you're going to understand there are two different characters it's talking about. There's two different characters. There's the people who they call the Americans, which are these elite Moors, and then you got the Moors. They call these people Moors. Anybody who's dealing with Morocco and any of these other Barbary states. All right, so you got the Moors over here, and you got the Americans, which are these people. And remember what we said, American means, go look it up. Look up what Ameri means. It means copper-colored people. Ika means land of the indigenous people. America means land of the copper-colored people, and that is a Hebrew term that was created by these people over here, because the original people of the land did not speak Hebrew. The original people of the land did not speak Hebrew. The land was named that by these Moors. This is elite Moors, and then here your other Moors who are doing the Peace and Friendship Treaty with Morocco in this document. So it only talks about these two groups of people. And what that document says is, all right, if our Moors come down to America, and if they do anything or they have any issues down there, you're supposed to send them back up here, and then we're going to deal with them when they get home. And likewise, if your Americans come up here to Morocco or any other territories that are Barbary territories, then we're going to send them back to you. So that's what they're saying. If they come up here, these Americans, they come up here and they do anything up here in Morocco, then we're going to send them back. It doesn't have anything to do with the land. It doesn't say anything about Morocco owns the land or this is their territory. None of that. If it was the territory of Morocco, then what is this peace and friendship treaty between them and North America? How can United States of America write a peace and friendship treaty with them if it already belongs to Morocco? See, that doesn't even make any sense right there. So now I'm saying to you, I'm giving you this information. Go look it up and read it for yourself. The other thing about that peace and friendship treaty, about the declaration, about anything else, I want you to look at who signed the peace and friendship treaties. Look at who signed the declaration. Look at who signed the Constitution. When you go through those documents, you will not find not one name of the original people of the land. Well, Diva, what's the original people of the land? What's their name? Didn't I just tell you what those 13 treaties are? I told you where you can go pull them down. You're going to find all of the names of the original people of the land. Not all of them, but you can find the vast majority of them. And not one of those names is on the Constitution, the Declaration, the Peace and Friendship Treaty. They got Smith and Williams and Johnson and Jones and all these other names, but none of them are of the original people of the land. And let's be clear, this is law. When we're dealing with land, the only people who have the right to make any kind of contract concerning the land are the original people of the land. So if you're telling me you got 3 contracts, Declaration, Constitution, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, if any of them are concerning the land, it is null and void, because none of the original people of the land signed any of those contracts. None of them. That's how they're duping you, because you don't know law. You running around calling yourself black, Negro, colored, descendant of the slave, African American, minority, all these names, these titles you're taking on, you're not understanding the legal ramifications of them. Not to mention, there are all of these contracts that you can use to your advantage, but that you don't know about, they don't tell you about. And then there are contracts that you're trying to use to your advantage that aren't meant for you. When you say, yeah, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, and I'm Moroccan and I'm from Morocco, you have just declared that you do not have any title or entitlement to land in the Americas. As an original being of this land, again, I told you our history was ripped from us when our ancestors were forced or threatened into not speaking about the fact that they from this land. So you from your ancestors, and see, here's the thing. People talking about some, well, I did this, the test, the blood test with the ancestral.com, and they said I was 60-70% Igbo or whatever, African. What does that mean? Because when my students and my clients, they go do their homework and they research, they're like, you know what, Diva, I did the research, but I didn't have any of my ancestors that came that was slaves. I didn't have that in my ancestry. Yet when I talk to my Italian and my Albion folks, and they go, well, my grandmama had this Bible. And in the Bible, it showed that, we were slaves when we... Stop regurgitating what everybody's telling you and do your own research. Because when you do, you're going to start finding out that things were twisted. The same way I told you, they twisted the names. What you know of as Africa used to be Europe. What you know of as Europe used to be Africa. They flipped the script. The same way they flipped the script with the terms black and white. Same way they flipped the script with the term slave. Now they got y'all calling yourselves that. That's all right. In a few years, Albion's going to be calling themselves nigger. That's okay. It's flipping. They want to be you.